live stream. My name is Joe Russo. I'm the CEO of the Palm Beach Tech Association, and I'm joined here by John Florey, the president of Sama Labs. We're going to be talking a little bit about what Sama's doing in a second, give you the brief introduction of our talk here today. If you haven't seen Tech Talk before or really seen much about what Palm Beach Tech is, we exist to do one simple thing, and that's build the Palm Beaches into a tech hub. We especially do that through our Tech Talks. Usually they're in person, they're weekly. Now we're doing them all virtual. So big thanks to everybody for tuning in live on Facebook. This is, of course, an initiative of the Palm Beach Tech Association, a nonprofit focused on building the technology and innovation industry here in the Palm Beaches. We have over 160 members, Sama being one of them, and we'll go into a little bit about what they do, of course, but a bunch of our other members, well-known names, brands, and companies working in the tech industry in South Florida. Some of the big ones like Florida Power and Light, NextEra Energy, Office Depot are Fortune 500 brands. You even have Total Wine, which has a development shop here. Then you have your homegrown businesses like the Silver Logic and Shipsticks, smaller companies doing some really great things here in South Florida. So if you've not seen our emails before, you want to get them, feel free to text your email to this number here. You could also join us on Slack. Those are two really big ways to get involved and know what's going on, either by talking to us on email or by Slack. So with that, I want to introduce John. He is the president of Sama. Them, together with SA Company, employ over 100 people down there in Boca Raton. And they do some really great marketing and e-commerce work. But John, I'll allow you to tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Joe. So yeah, like Joe said, we are Sama Labs. We are a sister company of SA Company, which is also located here in Boca Raton. SA Company is a direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand, been running for about 7 years now. Started out of a bedroom. Founder Thomas DeCernia, who was on a fireside chat with you guys last year. And we launched the agency about 2.5 years ago, simply because we realized that there was a void for a lot of brands to navigate direct-to-consumer advertising, especially on digital. So with our really proven blueprint with SA, we now leverage a lot of those philosophies with the brands that we're working with Sama. So team of 30 people, all in-house. We have a video and photo production studio along with all of our marketing, web development, design, and a lot of branding as well that we're doing in-house. And that's a little bit about us.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about really the story behind SA and Sama, if you could. I mean, there is kind of a really great entrepreneurial story behind it all. And you've obviously been in the company for a little bit, but maybe give a little bit of the timeline there, because it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, so the condensed down version is Thomas dropped out of dental school to pursue building SA out of his bedroom. And this was a time where Instagram was a whole different landscape and pretty relevant to what we're talking about now or later on in the conversation. But Instagram used to be chronological, right? So there was more of a, the strategy was frequency and how many times you posted and how many people you can get to post about you in a nutshell, as opposed to now where it's a little bit more hedged on relevancy. So he grew SA out of his bedroom, like I said, on Instagram. And we built the company, or Thomas built the company through really just trial and error. When everything evolved into more of a pay-to-play environment like you have now, with paid ads, paid search, paid social ads, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, it was new for us. That whole platform or that approach was new for us. So we, as a brand, hired agencies to help us with the things that we didn't know, and quickly learned that most agencies had never built a brand before. So they knew the surface level of it all, the ROI of it all, but not really how it related to building a brand the right way and off a positive cash flow. And we never raised any money, so it was all super bootstrapped. And in the coming years, the brand just kept growing exponentially. And what made us really disruptive was the type of content we were developing, whether we were using influencers or not. And that's what made us unique as a lifestyle apparel brand. And it grew from there, right? So it got to a point for us that it was always trying new things, trying to be different, trying to be disruptive. People get served countless ads every day, right? So how do you find your way through a lot of that noise? And even today, where usage during this pandemic is doubled on social media. So now people are getting more content than ever because that's what they're doing. They have nothing else to do. But through that, through the development of our brands, we actually have 3 brands aside from SA. People just approached us and they wanted help with the marketing because they saw the success we were having, right? And we knew that there, like I said before, there was that gap or that void in people's ability to understand what it's like to really build a brand, leverage all those things that you're learning. So that's when we created Sama, because we started helping people in the community, local to us, with their marketing, their digital, their content, their web, but helping them understand what it actually meant. And ever since then, it's just been growing exponentially year over year. I think right now it's kind of a weird time because one of SA's product offerings is a face shield. So that's it's helped us kind of find a place in all that. But it's the brand's been growing quite a bit last few years. So that kind of fast forward to today, we are navigating a lot of the changes, and how do we still become disruptive, even though it's a different world right now. And that's really important too, which we'll get into a little bit with more of the influencer relevancy. But yeah, that's a little bit of our backstory.
Yeah, and speak of the face shields, actually, I bought one from you guys right here. And this was mainly meant as kind of like a nautical tool, right? Something if you're out in a boat or you're outside, you're running around. It's got so many different uses, really, but something just to kind of protect you if you're got wind whipping in your face, or you're doing yard work or whatever. But the cool thing is, you mentioned just the fact that Sama is even around right now is to help people with their business. But SA company announced they're giving away 100,000 of these the other day, and that was really awesome to see. The company take the leadership role there in this time.
I mean, it's an outdoor brand. It's an outdoor product. It just also fills in another gap, right, in people's ability to get some sort of protection. There's no implication that it does any viral protection by any means, but as a fabric barrier, it's better than nothing at the end of the day. And yes, last Wednesday we did a great event at our headquarters in Boca Raton. We had a lot of people there. Almost 5,000 cars showed up. So we gave away that day at least 10,000 or more that we can count. But it's a great way to give back. I mean, our roots are down here in South Florida. So it was just one way of many ways that we tried to at least pay it forward.
Yeah. So one of the things we wanted to talk about today was, of course, influencer marketing. That has been a bread and butter thing for SA, the entirety of the organization, all the different companies. But from an e-commerce standpoint, that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with, because it's like the non-technical side of doing marketing. How have you guys, found the magic or the mojo there to really kind of make that work with your clients?
So kind of touching back on the brand for a second, that was part of the initial rise of the brand, was influencer marketing in a way, because it was one way for us to syndicate the content effectively, because the engagement was so much higher than it is today with organic social media. So now we've, especially with, and that gives us a bit of an advantage with the agency, is we get to see at scale what works and what doesn't work with direct to consumer advertising, right? And then we get to understand, hey, out of the clients that we're working with, how does this approach work with client A versus client B, right? So it's a unique advantage that not many other marketing companies or agencies have. So now it's the way I'm looking at it, or the way we're looking at it, is influencer marketing pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And how all the different ways that you can, leverage and get the most out of influencers, because there's a growing notion that influencer marketing doesn't work, right? There was a period of time where these big influencers would take these huge paychecks, post a picture on their feed, and the company would get nothing out of it, and people got a bad taste in their mouth. But now it's kind of evolved into a different experience for people. Now brands are realizing that it's not just about how many eyes you can get on it, it's about breaking down barriers. As a consumer, if you follow somebody that has a specific following in a niche that you particularly like, then you would attract yourself to that brand that they're advocating for a little bit more effectively. So right now, because a lot of advertisers are pulling back their advertising spend, they're trying to find different and more creative ways to broadcast their brand out there to people more effectively. and influencers are becoming one of those calm vehicles to be able to do that. So that's what we're trying to work with now. There's a couple brands that we're working with that it's not really in beta, it's actively running now. They're brands that are using influencers as a way to get that message across. That's one example.
Yeah, and are you seeing a lot of influencer marketing then just in general is just pivoting more towards this current time that we're in about, all right, how do we get through the coronavirus era? Or is it a lot of people are just kind of more focused on, okay, this is our bread and butter, we're just going to stick with what works?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, we live in a time right now where you don't have to get like these really high value production pieces of content, where you don't need these like super expensive commercials to run a Facebook ad. There are a lot of influencers out there today that have creative capabilities, right? And that can edit on Photoshop or Premiere or any of the other like the video platforms. So now they can pretty much do everything themselves in a way that makes it a little bit faster. So you're not relying on too many people putting their hand in the cookie jar with getting the assets, getting the content, pushing it out to their campaigns, whatever it is. So especially in a time like now, most companies aren't able to shoot the content either. So they're relying on the influencers to be able to do that for them. So that's it's keeping the consistency up with how they're getting that message out there. But using, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before with breaking down that barrier of you don't need to necessarily put a big budget behind somebody who has a decent engagement either. So it's a weird place now because you're leveraging them a little bit different than you used to, but that's kind of part of it.
Yeah. So hang on, my internet just cut out there for a second. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So with what's the typical clients that you guys are working with now? Obviously, a lot of e-commerce, a lot of products, but how would you say your polar extremes are working right now with your client base, from this one being different from this one?
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, e-com is definitely our sweet spot. Direct to consumer brands, a lot of like, that's so tough to answer. I mean, we work with like local mom and pop brick and mortar shops versus these national e-com brands, the coffee brands, supplement brands, CBD we're working with as well right now, versus like a local dentist office. I mean, that's pretty opposite if you ask me. But it's really just we've made some changes at the beginning of the year of the brands that we're working with, because we want to be able to get into the depth of the company and really making sure we could bring them value. It's not just a matter of like getting new clients, working with people. It's really about identifying the areas of opportunity of what they're lacking in their approach on digital, and just making sure that the way that we approach things would fit their business too. Because it's not certainly for everybody, but it's really just identifying our approach, the way we've done things, the way that we measure success, fits other brands. And that's been a big change for us, is like looking at them, startups, can they look, starting a business isn't easy, of course, and as you know, and the runway to get even break even versus profitable is not happening overnight. And a lot of people have this misconception from other agencies that it's like, oh, you run a Facebook ad, you're going to be successful in like 30 days. And that's not real. So we try to create something a little bit more sustainable and a better expectation of what it's like to do it. So there's not like one size fits all model. We're not working with any category by any means, but we know when a brand is a good fit for both ways.
Gotcha. And part of it is making sure your team is really bought into it too, I'm sure. So when you guys are working with it, there's like an actual passion and meaning towards it.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about having a diverse team internally is, when I talk to brands every day, and quite often I'll talk to a brand and right away I'll think, oh, marketer XYZ is such a great fit for this product or this brand, because I've seen them use it before, or they talk about it, or just knowing who their buyer persona is fits that marketer, right? So that's naturally a good fit to be able to, and great for me to be able to say right out of the gates, this is going to be a home run experience for both of us. So yeah.
So you're kind of your first influencer marketers are really your own staff,
Mm-hmm.
in that way to make sure that they're on board with it.
Yeah, and oftentimes we've actually used our marketers in some of our content too, just because they fit that mold and they're very photogenic, or they just want to be a part of it in any way. Because being behind the screen running the ads or working on the strategy, it gets boring. Yeah, I mean, just to put it bluntly, right? But so this is a cool way to get them a little bit more interactive and engaged with the companies that they're working with.
So to spin it around a little bit, there's a lot of people working on their own side hustles right now, and a lot of people have, I think, pivoted in one way or another their current businesses to try and figure out how to make some more revenue or diversify their revenue streams. Well, what are some quick tidbits, or maybe you have even one tidbit of advice to that company or to that side hustler that's just trying to get going that'll help make them successful?
I mean, it's different. There's, I mean, it's the answer I'd have maybe 2 months ago would probably be a different answer than now. Now everything is digital. I just read that like Neiman Marcus is filing bankruptcy this week, which is pretty crazy to think. You never really, when you put that into perspective of like how important digital is becoming for companies, these massive retail brands that are falling by the dozens because they haven't leveraged digital before. So I think any way that you can combine something that you're truly interested in as an individual, and being able to use digital as a way to syndicate or broadcast a service or a product, that's really something to look at. There's so many answers for that though, so it's hard to pinpoint one specific one.
I mean, hustle is definitely the most important one. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to drive into something and really build something, be prepared to work your butt off. I mean, that's period, end of story. There's no shortcuts anymore. I mean, if it is, it's not sustainable, right? So you got to think about it. Do I want to make a couple bucks in this year, or do I want something like 5-10 years from now? I'm really building a strong base for myself. That's a question you have to ask yourself, and then drive that passion into succeeding with something.
Yeah. And going back, we got a question on influencer marketing for a second. But just to kind of peel out what influencer marketing actually is and what they do, but maybe you can give like a quick step-by-step. This is what an influencer marketing campaign looks like for that question.
So there's different strategies with influencer marketing, and how it kind of correlates with your brand, the goals, the objectives, things like that. I would say, in a nutshell, when you're leveraging a personality and their following, it's tapping into that. So sometimes influencers will they'll group a lot of different brands into one one cohesive campaign, call it, and it's more for like getting awareness and getting followers versus an influencer saying, here's my product, this is why I love it, and this is why you should buy it. So there's a lot of different mechanisms behind influencer marketing. So there's really not one specific answer to that, because it's going to different between like what product it is, a service, who their audience is, what kind of incentive you're providing. Things like that will really impact how you're using that influencer. And then cost will be associated with that too. So it's not necessarily, hey, this influencer has 500,000 followers, what should I pay them? You really need to go a little bit deeper than that. So you really make sense of like how you're going to use them and how you're going to get the most value out of them too.
So pivoting the conversation a little bit to the company for a second, how have you guys changed your internal structures and your culture and whatnot over the last few weeks? Obviously, got a lot of clients. You have a pretty large team. How have you been able to balance everything with COVID-19?
Good question. So we've actually onboarded more brands so far than we did the 2 months prior. And it's kind of weird. It wasn't really expected. We were kind of expecting to stay more flat, but I think what I was referring to before with the whole Neiman Marcus thing, brands are realizing, really we have to get on digital. We got to figure this out now. Otherwise we might be in big trouble, later in the year. So the other fortunate thing as a brand, we are pretty much suited for remote work. We went fully remote about 3 weeks ago. And it was new for us because we've always been an in-house brand or agency. But the team adapted really well. Fortunately, we have tools like Slack and Google Hangouts and Zoom, that make it pretty seamless. So it's been, a lot of our brands are not local to us too. We work with a lot of national brands too, that the point of context over there are used to getting on these conference calls and video conferences and things like that. So it's not, hasn't been a challenge for us. So kudos to my team that they've done really, really well adapting to these culture changes for us too. But yeah, like people are coming on board. They're excited. They're as long as the UPSs and the FedExes and as long as they're still shipping, we can get products to people, and it's business as usual, but in a very different way.
Yeah. And with that, a two-part question: what kind of people do you have on your team, skill set wise, and are you currently hiring for any of those positions?
Yes. So we have like 4 main departments. We have our marketing department, we have our web design and development department, video and photo, and then we have like more of the branding and art, graphics. So marketing is pretty vertically integrated with all the platforms. There's our website. Yep. So we, and this is pretty much in beta right now. We're continuously adding to it. We've got a really cool blog that we're developing on there too. A lot of cool information for anyone looking for information about blogging versus what a Facebook pixel is, and getting pretty granular there. But the marketing, we handle paid search, paid social, SEO, organic social media management, which is a topic in its own. We'll work on different companies, Amazon brands or Amazon storefronts, and we will also do their email marketing. We're a Platinum Klaviyo partner. Klaviyo is an email service provider, mostly built for e-commerce. We got a really cool partner resource tab on there too, for brands that are looking for an external resource or like a software or something along those lines. And yeah, I mean, we're hiring for like probably we're always looking for talent, no matter what. We're actually hiring 3 new people in the next 30 days. Somebody in our web department, somebody, so a web developer, someone who's been in Shopify and WordPress, Magento, BigCommerce, that can navigate their way around that. But development, not design. We have in-house designers. So it's more of like making a design pixel perfect for a developed, finished, and functional website. always looking for graphic and art talent, and then any marketers. So marketers is kind of a unique thing. We do both. We'll train somebody who's really never been in digital marketing, and we'll put them through like Sama School is what we call it, or somebody who's been in the Facebook Business Manager backend, knows how to build ads, knows Google AdWords or ads now, and can navigate that. So, we've always kind of been fortunate to teach people from the ground up and learn them our way, and that's always benefited us. So yeah, I mean, we're always looking for good, talented people. And right now, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, just those three for now, actually.
Yeah, so, and one thing I've noticed too, you guys are always hiring young people, junior level talent. And Sama School, that's a good that's a good play on words there. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously there's a lot of people looking for work out there now. So do check out Sama, or share them around if you know anybody looking. We've gotten, I think, something like 50 resumes in the last 30 days
Wow.
through our website. We have our career expo coming up this week too, and we have 500 people signed up for that. So there's, I think, a lot of demand on both sides, really, the market right now. I mean, there's always demand for hiring, but I think a lot more people are looking for work by far right now. So do spread out that Sama is hiring if you're watching out there currently, or you check this out later. And with that too, just personally, how have you been adjusting? Are you in any new routines right now, or you have any new Netflix series you're trying to get in there?
No, I mean, I'm just trying to stay as busy as I can. I mean, the big thing for me, we had an agency roundtable with Klaviyo about 2 weeks ago, and they asked me the same thing, and I'm like, the only thing for me right now is I just have to get up and still like shower and get ready, like as if I was going to our office. If I just get up, roll out of bed, and keep my shorts and a tank top on, I just don't feel like I'm in the zone, right? It just is a missing piece for me personally. So that's how I keep my head on a swivel. But it's cool. I got my wife, my two dogs, and I can just hang out by the pool outside and take calls and get some work done. So that's the plus. But I do miss being around the rest of the team. That's obviously been consistent for us. So that's the only big shift. But otherwise, staying at it, man.
Yeah, I've been going out on the balcony and trying to work every single day. It's just one day it's hot, one day it's raining. Trying to shift it up. That monotony of cabin fever gets you after a while. But with that, we're almost at time. So, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, been with Palm Beach Tech for a while now, and love you guys. You guys are the best. But just trying to stay, in the community, and like you said in the beginning of the cast, we want to get back to the community and just do the right thing. There's a lot of good agencies out there, especially locally. There's a lot of good people doing the best they can and doing right by brands. But we like to have that advantage to work collaboratively, with other agencies too. We're not a greedy company. We're not, we're not really. There's no teams. I mean, it's all collaborative, right? So even we do work with other agencies out there too that need some backup or some additional support. So we welcome that, welcome that collaboration. But happy to take any offline comments, questions that people have regarding digital marketing, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. But yeah, I mean, we're here. I mean, we're local, we're backyards, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. So I did post the link to your blog on the Facebook stream. So people can take a look at that. There's some really good articles on there I saw. John is on there as well. So if you guys want to post any questions after we go off, we can tackle those over Facebook. But I did want to again thank you for being a member and for employing a whole bunch of really awesome people down there. A lot of folks don't really, note and appreciate the fact that, when you build a big company, it's not just about building a big company. It's about giving a lot of people an opportunity to learn and to grow and to thrive. And it's been really awesome to see. And the fact that, SA company, the sister company of Sama, came out and said, we're going to give away face shields, 100,000. I mean, put that in perspective. That's about, 7-8% of the amount of people in Palm Beach County. That's a good chunk of people, and SA and Sama really step up to the plate for their community. So thank you guys so much, and thank you, John, for being a part of it. And I do hope you have a really great rest of your week, man.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you having me. Be well, okay?
All right. Have a good one, man. See ya.